Tonight there is outrage and anger as accused quadruple killer Bryan Kohberger is all set to take a plea deal in court tomorrow. It was first reported here on NewsNation that the deal would spare him the death penalty. Kohberger is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022. The father of one of the victims, Kaylee Goncalves, is furious, calling the move anything but justice.
This is the opposite of our will. There was no majority believing that this was acceptable. I want to honor all the police officers, the FBI, and all the people that work their tail off. The failure is at the court level, 100%.
This plea deal marks a stunning turn of events in a case that has captured the nation's attention. Steve Goncalves says prosecutors never consulted the victims' families about the plea deal, which came just weeks before Kohberger's murder trial was set to begin. The agreement calls for Kohberger to plead guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder. In exchange, he would spend the rest of his life in prison with no chance of parole. Goncalves is also pushing for a full confession from his daughter's accused killer. The judge is expected to rule on the plea deal tomorrow. For more, NewsNation's Bryan Entin, who first broke the story yesterday, joins us live from Idaho. Bryan, these family members want to know the whys. Why did he do this? Is there any chance the judge will order Bryan Kohberger to finally reveal and answer questions about why he did what he did that night?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Elizabeth. It's possible, but based on what I have been learning today, I don't think it's likely. I've seen some of the paperwork going back and forth between the families and the prosecutor, and there's nothing in the deal that is going to require him to confess in the sense that he gives any new information, that he says where the murder weapon is, that he says what the motive is. That was not part of the deal. Now, where that could come into play, though, Elizabeth, is the judge. You know, the judge is in control tomorrow. I mean, he's the one who gets to say whether this deal sticks, and he can also ask Kohberger a series of questions to make sure he understands exactly what he's pleading guilty to. And I'm told as part of those questions, he can ask him some details about what happened with the murders. And that is where we may get some new information about, you know, what the motive was, exactly what went down, what the timeline was. The judge could require Kohberger to get into some of that.
Could the judge be as explicit as saying, why did you do this? Why did you target these 4 kids?
It's possible, and it's possible, too, that the judge is seeing the anger and fury from the family today because they've been posting on social media, and there's been this campaign, even people to call the judge's office, and he may do that to help the family process this. He can ask that, and he can make Kohberger answer those questions, or he could keep it very formal and say, you're changing your plea to guilty. Do you understand what you're doing here? That you're signing off on a guilty plea and a life sentence, and he could keep it at that. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see tomorrow.
Because there's so many questions there was, you know, speculation that he may have been stalking one of the young women that he is now set to plead guilty to killing. There's the question, there was another girl, a roommate, a student in that house who opened her bedroom door when she heard something and looked out and saw the killer, why he spared her life. There are so many questions that these families, I can't even fathom what it would be like for them to have to live the rest of their lives without knowing the answers to these.
I know, it's terrible. What I have been told, though, Elizabeth, is that so tomorrow is the plea hearing, then there'll be a sentencing at the end of the month when the families will get up and have their victim impact statements, which will be very emotional. But I am told after that, when this is all said and done and signed off on, that the investigators and the prosecutors are willing to sit down with the families. And I've seen this happen in other cases, and tell them everything. Tell them everything, because they don't know anything because of the gag order.
Yeah, really excruciating experience for the families. Bryan, have you been able to confirm that all 4 families were not given a complete heads up? One family is saying they learned about this in an email, this plea deal.
So I know that several of the families learned about this through an email. I know that, I was texting with Ethan Chapin's mom today, Stacy, just a wonderful woman and a wonderful family. And she is is supportive of the plea deal. So it's different than what the Goncalveses think. She is going to come here tomorrow. She's in Boise. She's going to come to the hearing with her family in support of the plea deal. And remember, Ethan was a triplet, so she's very focused on her other 2 kids and them being able to move on from this. I have also confirmed just a little while ago that Bryan Kohberger's family is going to be here, which is significant because they haven't been at any of the hearings in Idaho. The last time I saw them was in Pennsylvania right after the arrest. So that's also going to be sort of interesting to witness.
Yeah, you've got to wonder what they're thinking. Bryan Kohberger was saying as recently as 48 hours ago that he was completely innocent and that 4 other people he was ready to name were the people who actually did the murders. So you've got to wonder what he was telling his own family as well. Brian Entin, live in Boise, Idaho, where it's all happening tomorrow. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.